Greetings and salutations. Guess what? I found my GoPro. I've been looking all over for this thing, and I think I found it a couple of days ago under the front seat of the Jeep, which means I haven't used the GoPro to film video since March. I got a feeling we're fitting to find out why too. We'll see. We'll see how well this portion of the video turns out. As you can see, I got the rear axle back on the Jeep. Now I need to start on the front axle. And as I did in the rear axle, I'm going to pull the front axle out because I'm too old and too fat to be walling around there on the ground like a slug. Just saying. I'll set you up in a time lapse and we'll start by jacking it up, pulling the wheels off. Sound good? For the course, I'm out of time. I got parent-teacher conferences in an hour, and I need to take a shower. That kind of rhymed. Maybe I should be a rapper. No. Anyway, I'm going to clean up my tools. Maybe even put them away. I can't believe I tried to say that with a straight face. And then tomorrow, all I got to do is pull the drive shaft. Take the bolts out of the upper and lower control arm. I can drop this thing out of here, get it in the garage where I can work on it in semi-air conditioned comfort. So I'm gonna clean this up. We'll talk to some teachers. I'll see you in the morning. Bye.
Morning. Back at it.
Well, there's the cover, and there's a lot of matter in there. I replaced this fluid before I went out west last spring, so it's probably only got 5,000 miles on it. Let's take a peek in here. This might be the source of all my noise. You don't see anything. Oh, those gears are choked. Those gears are severely worn. Look familiar? Another power grip. Instructions. Oh, stickers. More stickers. Okay. Nice. Let's take a look here. If I open this box. Ooh. Is it just me, or am I the only one that really appreciates a good box? New pinion, new ring gear. All right, I'm gonna clean these gears up, get all this cosmoline off here, and then we'll start by putting the ring gear onto the thingamajig. All right, got all the cosmoline off. Well, on further inspection, I did buy 2 of those master kits. One's an actual master kit that came with the gear set, and the other one is a bearing kit. Let me show you the difference. This one just comes with seals and bearings. This didn't even come with the wheel seals, just with a pinion seal. And this comes with pinion bearings, carrier bearings, axle seals, pinion seal, Loctite, compound, oil slingers for the pinion, and pinion bolts or ring gear bolts. Looks like there's a washer underneath there too. Oh, shim pack. That comes with some stuff, but not all of it. I'll be making setup bearings with these bearings, and these bearings will get pressed on after the setup is done. But right now I need to get these bolts out so I can install the ring gear. Razor blade, where it is. I'll cut right through the acid brush. Awesome. Awesome. There we go. Those go there. Pull this out of the bag. Let's see if I have to cook this pinion. A little oil on that. I might want to wipe that off. Nope. That should go on nicely. I just need to find out where the holes are. Alright. We get a couple started. Red Loctite. Scissors. A little much. before I put the last one in. My drill bit gauge. Mm-hmm. 3/8 bolts. These are going to be torqued to 55, I believe is the torque spec. Awesome. 50 foot-pounds. Let me get my brand new torque wrench. Hey, you need a new torque wrench? Don't want to spend a ton of money? I'll put a link in the description. Yeah, it's from the Land of Cheap Shit. This is whatever that is. 50 foot-pounds. This one goes up to 250. So 50. Foot-pounds. Coincidentally, geez, I'm tripping over everything in here. Where the rear axle had reversed threaded bolts, the front does not. It's 11/16. Now let me run these down right quick with the speed wrench. 60 words. What is this? 13. Where is... Committed down. How am I going to do this? Maybe if I put the axle in the housing. Now I've got some leverage. Do I? Do I have leverage? I don't know, maybe I do. Maybe. Not really. What I have is freaking grease all over my hands. Can't touch this thing without getting filthy. Man, I wish I had some friends. The fuck? I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do this. I'll be right back. So the way I ended up doing this is I took my punch here. Let me get you so you can see what's going on. Put it in one of these holes. Let that rest against the bench. Click. Oh, almost lost the pinion. Ugh. So that worked. Ring gear's on. Now I need to cut into those bearings. These are all going to be my setup bearings. Probably go ahead and use the races, but probably use the races to the other ones. So. This is a pinion bearing. This is a pinion bearing. These are the carrier bearings. These will go on here. So I need to cut those out. These are all coil bearings from Japan. These are decent bearings. Just a touch too. Yeah. Get out my die grinder. Meow. So that's a slip fit. Do that to both of these. And the same thing with the pinion. Get those to slip fit. And then I'm going to be out of time today. Tomorrow, I'll start pulling this stuff apart and getting the factory shims out of here, and setting all this into the housing, and seeing if I can make things pattern up. Oh, so close.
One eternity later.
Perfect. Now I just need to do that 4 more times, 3 more times. All right, I guess I better hose this out. Roger. Perfect. That's one. Let's get the next one. So the other day I was in here and I was just blasting away throwing parts into this axle. And it dawned on me I didn't know what the hell I was doing. This is the first Dana axle that I've ever had the pleasure of working on. Ever. In 45 years of wrenching on my own stuff, I've never felt it necessary to work on an axle. I think I've blown up 2 differentials in my life, and I just scrapped the vehicles. I didn't bother rebuilding them. Anyway, this being the first Dana axle that I've been into, and only the second axle that I've ever rebuilt, the first being the 8 1/4 that's back on the Jeep that I did a week ago, I figured maybe I ought to go back to YouTube University and see what other people were doing and do a little more reading and instructions. I know, really, instructions? Must be serious. The first thing I did wrong is I made a setup bearing for the inner pinion bearing. This is the one that's on the gear side. I didn't need to do that, so I destroyed a perfectly good bearing for no reason. There are no shims under that, just that oil control washer thing. So you just press that onto the pinion. And then you make a setup bearing race. You take the race that goes in there and you sand the outer perimeter of it out until it slides in and out. Because unlike the 8 1/4 where you have to put shims under the bearing to set your pinion depth, the pinion depth is controlled by shims that go under this this bearing race. And come on, get back out of there now. And the preload is controlled by these shims here underneath the outer bearing. Here it is. So you make a setup bearing for the outer bearing. That way this can go back on there. And this one's pressed in. And you make the setup bearing race for the inner. And then this little piece here, this little washer with the raised area, that goes in, raised area down. That goes there under the race. So this will be your starting point. You put this dealio in. Put the shims on. Put that inner bearing in. Put your yoke on. Take your old bolt and then tighten that down, torque it down to 150 foot-pounds, I think is the torque spec. And then you measure your preload. And I think the preload is 10 to 15 inch-pounds, I think it is. I'll annotate it here. So you put all that in. Don't put the outer seal in yet because you don't want to drag on that. You don't want to wreck the seal. This is just setup time. So you do all that, and then once you get your preload set, you might have to remove some shims, the small ones. These little ones that are designed to go between the outer bearing and the pinion itself. That helps you adjust your preload. So you do all that, get your preload set, and then you can drop in your ring gear with the carrier, and you can set your backlash, run a pattern, and see how the teeth of the gears are meshing, and determine whether or not you need to change your pinion depth. If you need to change your pinion depth, then everything's got to come back out. And you need to take the pinion thing apart and add, subtract shims, start completely over, do everything again, and then check it again, check your pattern. Now, the 8 1/4 is a lot easier in that respect. It's the carrier portion doesn't require any shims. To adjust your backlash with the carrier on a Dana axle, remember you made the setup bearings. You change these shims. I just replaced the factory shims that were on the old housing, and it's way too tight. So I'll pull some out of there. I'll measure these and pull them out so that the races are just a snug fit in here. And then I'll set everything up, and then I'll add like a 3.5 thou or a 5 thou shim to, what is it, the gear side? I believe it's the gear side. You don't have to do that with the 8 1/4. You just turn the adjuster. Doing this isn't so intimidating anymore as it is just time consuming and annoying. It's not rocket science, for crying out loud. It's just annoying. So I anticipate probably 3 more times before I can get the proper torque spec. And then I'll drop the ring gear in, run a pattern, and see where it sits on there and see if my pinion depth is good. If it is, we can beat in the race and get the pinion set in there with the nut and the Loctite and everything, get that squared away. And then we put the ring gear in and call it a week. I have this installed. I haven't set the final preload for the carrier yet. I'm going to pull the pinion out and do a couple things and check, but probably just going to add 5 thousandths to overall dimension on this side. That's what was recommended. I got it so it's like a push fit, but you want some preload on these bearings. But add your shim to the gear side. That's what I got. It's about 6 thousandths. The spec is 6 to 10. Now I get to run a pattern. I learned a trick the other day to dilute this with gear oil. It's easier to clean up. Got a little cup. I'll put some compound in the cup, dilute it with a little gear oil, and paint the gears, and then we'll check the pattern. We'll see how far off we're at. One thing I learned about this whole experience is that using the factory shims that came out of the old carrier and out of the old pinion, yeah, don't even bother. Don't even bother. If you're starting all new stuff, just start with all new stuff, and just because it's just gonna aggravate you. I was thinking the other day, there's some similarities to merking compound to another automotive chemical that I've used in the past, and it's like this stuff is just as invasive as anti-seize, whether it's the copper kind or the silver kind. See, all I did was touch the cap and I got it on me. Same thing with this marking compound. You just breathe on it. Just breathe on it, it gets on you. Well, let's paint 4 of them. Paint 4 teeth, coast and drive side. All right. Think we'll get lucky? I got a feeling the answer is negative. It looks like it's got to go, like the pinion's got to go deeper. Let's look at the other side of the gear. I get to do this again. I got to think about this for a minute. If I add this, do I need to subtract it? Do I need to add? It's making my brain hurt. That's a little better. And there's the other side. Okay, so that's all the setup stuff. I think I probably should put that truss on first before I button all this thing up. So I need to cut this off because the truss has its own mount, and weld that thing on. Weld the other side on. All right, how long have I been working on this? 7 hours-ish, right? No, 5 hours. I've been working on this for 5 hours, and I'm not even close to being done yet. This is the first Dana. I don't really look forward to doing another Dana, to be honest with you. At least not a Dana 30, for frig's sakes. Maybe tomorrow morning I'll come and start working on the truss and whatnot. Okay, see you tomorrow. I messed around this for another 4 hours yesterday. Finally got it where I liked it. Took it back apart. I got my truss welded up. I've got my holes drilled, my ventilation holes drilled in the tubes. No, they're not ventilation holes. Got sleeves. There's the short one. There's the long one. So as you can see, the tube diameter on the main tube is 1/4 inch, and by adding this, which is 3/16, maybe a little bit less because it's machined, that'll go in there once I clear the burrs out of it. And you run that into up to the seal surface, maybe a little short, and then plug weld it. And then I can put that on. Yeah, that looks nice. Come on in here, check this out. So it's in there about 1/2 inch. You can see here, I'm gonna plug weld those. And then I kept the, does that even show up? Oh, that. I kept the end of it back a little bit so I could get the sealant. I need to pound that back a little bit more. But probably should try to install the seal before I go and do that. Maybe should. I'll check into that before I start welding. That would be good. Got the pinion seal and the pinion back in, torqued down, and now I'm going to put in the axle seals. And one thing I'd like to do is run a little bead of silicone around the perimeter before I press it into place. One goes here, the other one goes here, and I have a special tool. We'll see how this works to press these into place. I'm using ultra copper for this because it's what I got. Look at that. Just lovely. Now, you don't need to buy a special tool. You could find a socket that would fit. Where'd my other seal go? I just had it for the love of Pete. Anyway, you could find a socket that fits just inside that, and then drive it. You know, you'd have to get a bunch of extensions to fit through the tube, but you could drive it in with a hammer and some extensions. Okay. You want to get a socket that fits inside of here, but isn't going to damage this little spring here. This one just fits. Run them into here. Am I going to have enough? Just. Put the socket on. And get jiggy with the hammer. Where's my hammer? Did I put it away? Ha! Say it ain't so. I put it away. And just like that, the seal is installed. Oh, and I got schmutz all over my socket. Dang it. All right. That one's in. I could have put those sleeves in a little bit deeper, methinks. About a ½ inch deeper. That's all right. Better too deep than not deep enough, huh? That's what she said. The good thing about this one is that you don't have to use as many extensions. It should go in a lot easier. I don't know if this is actually necessary, but it's good insurance. I'm just saying. That, and it acts kind of like a glue. It helps hold that thing in place while you're dinking around with the mess that you made. Gives you time to clean up a little bit before the seal falls out. See, done. Use. I'm just going to wipe the seal down a little bit if there's any silicone on the seal itself, the seal surface, And then I'll grab some gear oil and wipe some gear oil on it. And do that so the seal's not dry. And then I'll save my special tool that I bought almost a year ago, anticipating doing this project. I'll save it for a 1-ton axle or something. Good thing it was cheap. You know what I mean? But basically the idea, it was just too big. Basically the idea is that you use the shoe to push against the other side of the case to push the seal in. This was just a little bit smaller than the diameter of the outside of that seal, and it wouldn't fit in the seal like the socket did, and this was too big to fit inside the casting. So not for a Dana 30. And as long, like I said, as long as you can find a socket that's big enough in the middle to not tear up that little spring inside the seal that keeps tension on the seal lip to keep it sealed against the rotating surface. As long as you don't mess that up, you're golden. Mess that up and you're screwed. So don't mess that up. Well, it seemed like a good idea. I think this tool was only like 25 bucks or something. It wasn't too terribly expensive. It's a nice tool to have because I like tools. And I need to justify the expense, so I'm going to chalk it up as a win anyway, even though it's not.
Moments later.
Alright, I'm gonna pause right now. I'm gonna go ahead and stick this cover on, get it glued into place, and then I can set this thing up and start painting it, I guess. That's what I'll do. I'll paint it. Back in. This was not fun. Fact of the matter is I'm going to get to do it all over again come probably the 1st of December, maybe the 1st of the year. I got some new springs, and I'm destroying that little plastic shelf there with parts. New springs, long arms. This clapped out Rusty's 3-inch kit is going to be for sale. It's well used. It's not clapped out, but it is well used. I'm wondering if that truss is going to make nice with the oil pan. I sure hope so. 'Cause I don't have time to do this lift kit. All the steering stuff is tight. I just need to put cotter pins in. I guess I can put this on right now. Yeah, but all the nuts and stuff are loose on the suspension components. And I don't want to tighten those until the weight of the vehicle is actually on this. I could put it on jack stands, which I'll probably end up doing. I got a couple of minutes. I might go ahead and do that and then tighten everything down. And tomorrow, put it all in the front differential, raise all four off the ground, and start it up and let it run in four-wheel drive, all four wheels spinning for an undetermined amount of time. See unnecessary noises or grinding, or who knows, maybe the thing will just explode and I'll not have to worry about it no more. Anyway, we'll see you again tomorrow.
The next morning.
Well, that ain't good. I did what I said I was going to do. Put gear oil in them, nut and bolted everything, put the drive lines together. I had this really bad vibration and growl based on inaccurate speedometer readings, between 60 and 80. Well, I narrowed it down to somewhere between the transfer case and the rear axle, because the axles aren't making any noise. So I shut everything down, got underneath there, started grabbing the drive shaft, and I noticed there was just ever so slightly a little bit of play in the yoke on the slip yoke eliminator kit. This little bastard here grabbed the drive shaft and started pushing on it, and there was just a little bit of wiggle. I took the drive shaft off and I found that piece of rubber right there. You know what that is a splined gasket. It's a rubber seal that goes on over the splines underneath the washer and the nut that holds the yoke on, and that had failed and squished out. It's splined on the inside to fill the splines of the output shaft. And what this does is to seal any possibility of transmission fluid from leaking out between the splines. I will say this, if it happens, I'll pull all this off and I'll put a liberal amount of RTV on the splines, and I'll put that yoke back on, and the problem will be solved. If you go and put a slip yoke eliminator kit on your transfer case on your 231, and you see this rubber washer that's splined on the inside, take it, throw it away, RTV the splines, put the yoke on. So I took this off, threw the rattle gun on there, and just put the Ugga Duggas to it and put everything back on. And I just ran it, and no vibrations. Now, it's way past, I'm late for work big time, and I still need to take a shower. So, for all intents and purposes, the front axle's done, the rear axle's done. Now I just need to road test this pig.
Later.
Let's take this turd for a rip and see how bad I screwed this thing up. I hope the steering don't fall off. Oh, I know I'm out of gas. Holy shit, I am out of gas. I need to go get gas. Hope I got enough to get to the gas station. We'll find out in a minute here. So far, so good. Oh, you know what? I forgot to tighten the front shocks down. I can tell that right now. Big time. Probably gonna lose the nuts. Probably gonna lose the nuts. Oops, you fell over. Dang it. Now, let me set you back up here. Sorry about that. Well, that wasn't terrible, I guess. It wasn't any noisier than normal. Kind of hard to tell with this loud exhaust system, but I hope I didn't screw up that freaking transfer case with that yoke being loose. Probably did. Anyway, I got to put some miles on this thing now, and I got the Speedo gear coming tomorrow, or it should be coming today. That's the only thing I got to do left is change out the Speedo gear to compensate for the gear ratios, and then drive this thing for about a week, and then drain the diffs and see how much damage is incurred in 500 miles and everything looks good. Then we go to the Mojave. But that's a few weeks away yet. So I guess we'll wait till I get that Speedo gear.
Tomorrow.
It came yesterday. This is a 36 tooth to replace the 31 tooth. I think it's 31 tooth that I have in there. That's what it is. And that will should correct the speedometer. Yeah. Let's go put it in. That's what I'm going for right there. You take this bolt out. Come on. Oh, there you go. Take that retainer out. First things third, let's open this up. You can tell it's a 36 tooth because it says so right there. Pull that out. Take the 31 tooth out. And just put this one back in. Like so.
Now we go make sure it works by driving it.
Alright, so I got my Jeeps set to, what, 60. Well, I did have it set to 60, but we're coming downhill now. Let's compare it to the speedometer. I'd say that's a pretty fair representation. I'm gonna call that a win. So I just left my town, I'm heading to the next town, and then I'm gonna drive over to the next town, and then back to my town. And that should be about, I don't know, 20, 25 miles. We'll see if anything falls off this pig. See you in a bit.
One hour later.
Screw it, let's do it. Drain it now and look at the oil and the gears, and then I'll worry about filling them tomorrow or Wednesday before I leave. That's going to show up very good, but that gear pattern looks good. I don't see a bunch of steel in there, so that's good. Has a magnetic drain plug, and there is a little bit of metal on there, but I don't think that's excessive. It's more like a paste. I'll probably be checking this after I come back, after the trip is over, after 5,000 miles, just to see how things are wearing in. But this is going back together. I need to go and do the back one now. That looks good. That looks good. I don't think that is excessive metal in the oil, in the gear oil. I think that's just a regular byproduct of breaking in a set of gears. It makes sense that there'd be a little more metal flake in the rear as opposed to the front, you know, because the rear axle's driving the truck 99% of the time. So I think that left is put gear oil in the differentials, and I gotta do an oil change. So I guess just stay tuned for the after action report. We'll see what breaks. I don't think it's going to be the differentials. I think if anything, it's going to be the axles. Probably. So you just have to, hey, sub so you can figure out what went wrong on my journey. But until next time, you have fun, stay safe, shoot straight, keep powder dry, have a splendid day. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.